from strength. We solve it from the things that are right about us, not the things that are wrong about us. We solve it with our eyes up, not our heads down. And we, you and I, Republican Party of New York, and the guy you helped elect mayor of New York City, we have the playbook for them. You know, we already did this. We already did all the things that have to be done. I know on a smaller scale, if you can consider New York small, but we did it, and we showed that we can do it. And we have the experience to do it. We lowered taxes. We don't just theorize about lowering taxes. I know that if you lower taxes, you make more money. Because I did it. If we don't have a president that understands that, deep in his heart and in his experience, then we are looking at the biggest tax cuts, at the biggest tax increases in the history of our country. They're coming up. You know that the Democrats, with a Democratic Congress or even without it, are going to push very, very hard to increase our taxes dramatically, to reverse the so-called Bush tax cuts and to move the taxes way back up to 39%, 40% rate, to take the capital gains tax, move it back up to 20%, take the tax on dividends and move it back up to 39% plus. The death tax, if you need an illustration of what's wrong with Washington and why you need somebody from outside of Washington to go there and straighten it out, let me explain to you what's going to happen with the inheritance tax, the so-called death tax. In 2009, the death tax will go down to 45%. So everything you've earned throughout your life and that you've paid taxes on, when you die and pass it on to your heirs, 45% goes to the government. In the year 2010, coming up soon, it'll go down to 0%. No death tax. In 2011, it's going to be 55% again. So you know what that is, right? Our politicians in Washington have figured out how to create a tax incentive to die in 2010. You better not go on a respirator in 2010. Believe me, you don't want to be on a respirator then. A lot of money is saved if you go in 2010 and not 2011. Can you believe this? Isn't this wacky? Washington wacky? We need a president who comes from, well, New York is a good place, nice. And straighten this out. Make sure we lower taxes. I believe that we lower taxes as a matter of philosophy. It's a philosophy that I carry throughout most of the things that we'll talk about, which we won't talk about tonight, but we'll talk about them over the period of the campaign. It works like this. If I can give some of your money back to you, you're going to spend it smarter, better, more creatively, and in ways that produces jobs and opportunities for people than government will. The other night we had all of our Republican candidates debating. Tonight John McCain will be here, one of our really, really distinguished candidates. And we have some disagreements. You might have noticed that. There were some disagreements during that debate. Didn't you think the Fox debate was a good debate? You know the Democratic candidates will not go on Fox. The Republican candidates go on MSNBC and CNN, and they won't go on Fox. You think maybe we're the bolder candidates? We're more willing to be questioned no matter what? I think so, right? Well, here's what's at stake in this election. I'm going to read you a quote. I want you to tell me who said this. Referring to the Bush tax cuts and saying they have to be reversed. We are going to take things away from you on behalf of the common good. Yeah, it wasn't even close. You guys got it right away. Yes, that's our junior senator. We are going to take things away from you on behalf of the common good. Just in case, I'm sure this code will be disputed. This was in Associated Press, June 29, 2004. Here's what I believe. On behalf of the common good, we're going to give things back to you. That is how, and I picked the senator because she's the leading Democratic candidate. I bet we could find similar quotes from most, if not all, of the Democratic candidates. It isn't just her view, it's the view of her party. That's what's at stake in the next election. What is at stake in the next election is whether we remain essentially a private economy or we become a government-dominated economy with much higher taxes, much more severe regulations, with socialized medicine, with bigger government agencies. That's what's at stake. There's a difference here. It is not a personal difference. It's not an angry difference. It's not an emotional difference, but it's a difference of philosophy, one we should be able to debate and debate everywhere. And we need the New York Republican Party united under Joe Mondale. We need the New York Republican Party united under Joe Biden. In order to fight that battle, we need the whole Republican Party united in New York and in Texas, in South Carolina and in California, because there's an awful lot at stake in this next election. And then there's something else at stake that's more important than taxes, and more important than reduced spending, and more important than just about every other issue. In fact, it is more important than every other issue. It's the safety and the security of the United States of America. And the safety and security of the United States of America is at stake in this election, not by our choice, because there are people in this world, as we stand here tonight and speak and talk, and there are people in this world planning to come here and kill us. They're serious about it. They're organized in a very loose way. It's not a hierarchical organization. It's a loosely affiliated or group of organizations. They are called Islamic terrorists. Yes, I can say the words. Islamic terrorists. You might note that during the Democratic debate, those words never passed the mouth of any of the Democratic candidates. They couldn't say those words. You have to be able to say those words. You have to be able to face your enemy. Political correctness can't overcome you to such an extent that you lose reality. When I say Islamic extremist terrorists, I do not suggest for one moment that all members of the Islamic religion are terrorists. Of course not. I don't suggest for one moment that all people in the Middle East, or all people who are Arab, or all people, not for one moment. I'm a New Yorker. I don't know about prejudice of any kind. On the evening of September 11th, along with all of the other things that I did, I said to the people of my city, I don't want you to engage in group blame. I don't want you to do what helped to cause this. I don't want you to see a whole people by the acts of some people. And I believe that, and I know that, and I've traveled in the Middle East. And I understand that there are an overwhelming majority of people that we're going to be able to work with, that we can work with, that we probably should do more commerce with, we should probably have more cultural exchanges with, we should probably get to know better and they should get to know us better. And I believe that's the future. But at the same time, the group of people that we're facing is not insignificant. It needs to be identified if it's going to be dealt with. Part of the problem that we've had, and it's one that I see us returning to under Democratic leadership, is that we refuse to face reality in the 1990s. The first terrorist attack on this country was not September 11 of 2001.